my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about applying gold leaf to fabric. If you happen to be making a replica of Belle's dress from the 2017 movie, this tutorial will be very helpful because that is what I learned this technique for. When I created that dress, I needed to figure out how to apply gold leaf to fabric. Now, there are some tutorials online that show you how to do that, but none of them worked when I tried them. So I had to kind of combine some different techniques I saw to make a technique that worked for me and what I was working with. The fabric I used for this project is silk organza, but it's not just silk organza, it's called Satin-Faced silk organza. So the differences between these two, this is silk organza. Sorry for all the wrinkles, but as you can see, it's very sheer and it's crisp and it's a lovely fabric. 52 yards of this went into the Belle petticoat, but for the outer layer of the Belle dress and for the bodice, it's Satin-Faced silk organza. Here's what it looks like. It's more opaque than regular silk organza, and on one side it's a smooth, silky finish, hence the Satin-Faced silk organza. It is still semi-sheer, but definitely not as much as the regular silk organza. Costume designer of the Belle movie actually stated that they use Satin-Faced organza on the outer layers, and so that's why I used it. So the thing is, with tutorials online, I noticed a lot of them were putting it on cotton fabrics or thick fabrics, and when I tried those techniques on this silk semi-sheer, it just didn't work. And I had a lot of trouble with it, and so I just had to keep experimenting, and finally I found what worked for me. So I will be showing you guys how I do that. First of all, with my first Belle dress, I used imitation gold leaf. This is Mona Lisa, and it worked, but after a year of it sitting in my closet, it started to not look so great. The bodice kind of became green, which is actually a thing that imitation gold leaf can do because it's not gold. And often it's made out of copper or brass or something like that, which, not great. So, here's the bodice, and as you can see, there's definitely some green. And green on a Belle dress is not optimal. So, of course, this bodice is not in the greatest shape right now, which is kind of sad, but, well, that's what sometimes happens when you experiment. So hopefully I will be able to show you how to not do this, and then you can have a bodice that lasts if you're making a Belle bodice. If not, if you're just wanting to learn how to apply gold leaf to fabric, keep watching because I'm going to talk about that. Another thing with the imitation, and when I first made this bodice, I didn't get my lines very small and skinny, which is something I really wanted on the Belle dress to give a delicate feel. So on my second Belle dress that I made, I did much finer lines and used real gold leaf, and the result was so much better. So when I'm making this, I'm gonna use that technique, and so you don't get what this looks like. Even though it's still pretty, up close it's not as pretty as my second one. So let's get started. Since I'm not using imitation gold leaf, and I would recommend not using it, another point on that, you are supposed to seal imitation gold leaf. There's a sealer that you can buy, and I did do that on the bodice. So it definitely made the bodice not as soft, the fabric, because the sealer made it stiffer. I thought that would help, but apparently it didn't because it still turned kind of greenish after about a year. So even though you can do that with imitation gold leaf, and you're supposed to do that, it didn't work on the fabric. So recommend not using this. Here's what actually the imitation gold leaf looks like. It's kind of adhered to a wax paper, and you press it onto the glue surface that you do, and then it comes off the wax paper. This actually was a huge pain to have it adhere to this wax paper because it kind of didn't come off when I wanted it to sometimes. So that's another negative about this imitation. Nothing bad against this brand of imitation gold leaf, I just didn't think it worked well on fabric. You might have a different result, or if it's for a different project, I would probably use it because it's super cheap. I think it was about $9 for this pack, which is way cheaper than real gold, of course. So this is the product I use. It's 24 karat gold, and there's 25 leaves. And so they just call it a leaf. It's basically just a little sheet. This is an 8 centimeter by 8 centimeter square, and so 25 of those, and this was about $45. So definitely not cheap compared to the $8 or $9. This, which is 5.5 by 5.5 inches, which is about 14 centimeters by 14 centimeters, and has 18 leaves. So little few leaves, but bigger squares. It was about $9, whereas this was $45. So definitely more expensive, but to be able to say you have real gold on your dress is pretty cool. So that fact might help a little bit, but it also works way better and it doesn't go green. So that's a huge plus. So no green, this is the product I use. All right, so now that we've talked about the gold leaf, let's move on to a couple other supplies you'll need, or what I use. So this is Mona Lisa adhesive size. This is the glue I use to apply the genuine gold leaf, and it works great. You'll also need your fabric, of course, if you're making the Belle dress. This is Satin-Faced silk organza cut on a bias, and as you can see, it has a wavy edge that's cut by a rotary cutter and a special blade. And then you'll need a paintbrush. Now, I use a paintbrush, and it's the same one I've used since I started, and it's kind of become so gluey and sticky that it almost feels like a rubber tip, and it actually works great like that. Sometimes a brush can pick up too much glue, and when you go to touch it to the fabric, it releases all of it into the fibers of the fabric, and then you have a nice blotchy line instead of a nice straight line. And then the next thing is a bristle brush. And now the reason I use this bristle brush, I have loose leaf gold, and what that means is it's just not attached to the paper. When the gold is slightly attached to the paper, it needs to stick to the glue and then it comes off. But with loose leaf, what I do, and I find way quicker and nicer, is I just use this bristle tip brush and I just touch it to the gold and it picks it up. It's so satisfying. But that's what I use this for. And then also, once I apply the gold to the glue, I kind of brush away the extra gold, and don't worry, I don't throw it away. I transfer it to other glue spots. But that's what I use this for. So it's just like a rough brush that works great. So you've got your fabric, your glue, your gold leaf. All the links to the supplies that at least I can link to are in the description. So be sure to check that out if you'd like to purchase the same supplies. Personally, this is what I found to be the cheapest, and they work great. And I'll also put the link to the imitation gold leaf if you want to give that a try before you spent a fortune on gold. But again, it might go green or your sealer might work. It just didn't work for me. The other thing you'll need is some paper to protect your work surface because you don't want it all gluey and goldy. So when I'm making the Belle dress, there's something I saw on the bodice that I, of course, wanted to replicate, and that was that the strips aren't completely striped with gold. It's only about half the strip that has the stripes on it. So it's stripes on half of it and then plain on the other half. In order to get that nice half point, I stick this piece of fabric under here, get it about half, and then I have a nice line that I don't have to worry about the glue going past that half point. So if you're doing the Belle dress, I recommend doing that, but if not, you just need a sheet of paper to protect your work surface. Since you're working with glue and it can be quite annoying, I grab a piece of scrap fabric, and this is just muslin, and this is what I wipe my brush off when I'm ready to be done for the day, and that just keeps extra glue from building up on here. But also if your hands get sticky, I just use it, and I find fabrics works way better than paper towels or anything like that. So now that we've got our supplies, let's get started. So as you can see, as I'm making the little stripes, they're uneven, which is something I see on the original dress, and whenever I see something on an original dress, I try to copy it. And so it's just really uneven, and even though they're straight, they're just varying heights. And here you can see how little glue I'm applying. And really, when I apply and I see that little white spot, I kind of know I'm going too heavy on the glue. And it's not a huge worry, but any more than that, it's gonna start getting a little blotchy. so now I've let the glue dry, and now it's time to apply the gold leaf. And I'm just gonna take it out from the little sandwich paper I have it in and just lay it here. What I'm gonna do is grab my gold leaf and apply it to the glue. So as you can see, the brush just picked up the gold, and then as I lay it on top of the glue, it comes off the brush, and I just keep brushing the excess gold over to more glue, and that's just the way that I use every little bit of gold. And that, my friends, is how you apply gold leaf to fabric. And as I made this video, I kind of realized it's not a super hard technique. When I started doing it with the techniques I saw online, it just wasn't working. And somehow I happened upon some tools and supplies that worked. And so I just wanted to share about that. And I hope by just watching you were able to pick up on some tricks that you can use on your project with gold leaf. So basically you've got genuine gold leaf. Even though it's expensive, it really does the trick much better than imitation. You may have different luck with it, I don't, and since I did kind of ruin a Belle bodice with using imitation gold leaf, I'm kind of shying away from using it again, because even though this is expensive, it just makes the difference, I feel like, and I don't know if I'll use it again, but for the Belle dress, I'm really glad that I'm using real gold leaf for all of it now. On my first Belle dress, I did use real gold leaf on the skirts, which I'm so glad I did. It made it easier, and they had different shades of gold, not necessarily shades, it was different carat, so 18 karat and 12 karat I used on the skirts because they have different varying shades of gold on the layers of the skirt. So I used real gold on the skirt, which I'm so glad it did because there was over 100 hours of work putting on that gold leaf on the skirt. And I'm so glad I used real because it's not green. So this has worked, and I hope it works for you. Let me know if you've had success with this technique and what you made with it. So again, quick review. You've got genuine gold leaf. We've got the adhesive size, Mona Lisa brand, link is in the description. We've got a fine brush that's kind of been glue-ized. Not a word, I'm sure. And then a bristle brush. This I think I just got at Hobby Lobby in a pack, but just pick up the gold leaf and put it down. Please let me know if this tutorial helped you and what projects you made with it. If you have any questions, be sure to comment and I will try my best to answer. Sometimes it might take me a few weeks, but I will hopefully eventually get to answering it. And again, I hope just watching this video has showed you how I do it, and that hopefully you can replicate that or put your own twist on the technique for what fabric you're using. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it helped, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments.